is the appearance day, I think, of Prabodhananda Saraswati. Disappearance day, Tirabhav, of Prabodhananda Saraswati. Prabodhananda Saraswati is the brother of Venkatesh Bhatta from South, brother of Venkatesh Bhatta, and the uncle of Gopal Bhatta. And in his spiritual identity, he is Tungavidya, one of the Astasakis. And he's written very beautiful Vrindavan Mahimamrita. And he's written many beautiful books on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his writings are very deep and significant. I'm just going to read one of them, one verse today. This is from Vrindavan Mahimamrita. O brother, when you close your eyes in death, where will your loving wife, children, brothers, relatives, friends all be? Where will your fame be? Where will your pride, wealth, education, control over others, and other powers and opulences be? Where will your good qualities be at the time of death? O learned and intelligent friend, why do you not renounce these temporary things now and run to Vrindavan? So he's written so many verses of this nature in this Vrindavan Mahimamrita. I think it's 19 or 20 small books we have of his. So today is his Tirabhav, Prabodhananda Saraswati, most exalted personality. So Prabodhananda Saraswati Ki Jai. And yesterday I omitted to say one of the most important features of yesterday was it's the beginning of our Chaturmasya. You can either begin on the Ekadashi 5 days ago, or you can begin on the Purnima. So in the Gaudiya Math here, we begin yesterday, the Chaturmasya. So this means some food restrictions. These food restrictions are there to remind us of the speciality of these 4 months that are culminating in Kartik. Kartik is the final month. So, like no tomatoes, for example. Every time you look at a tomato, you can think, oh, it's Chaturmasya. And why no tomatoes? Because there are many seeds in the tomatoes. And the seeds are manifesting during the rainy season. The seeds are all germinating when the rains come. So when the rains come, the living entities come in the rains, and they take shelter of the various seeds. So this is the reason why we don't take tomatoes, for example. Every restriction has a very beautiful explanation to it. So none of it's just whimsical at all. So we'll post on our WhatsApp thread the restrictive foods. And if you can follow these, it's not a big austerity, but it's some austerity, because really austerity Krishna appreciates very much if we make some restriction in our material lives according to the acharyas, then it's very healthy for our progress indeed. So yesterday was the beginning of Chaturmasya, and this is running through for the next 4 months. And this month we don't take the leafy greens, because the leafy greens are one of the first things that grow with the rains. So the leafy greens are also touched by all the different living entities that manifest at this particular time. This is the reason why we don't take the leafy greens for a month, because many entities will have taken their birth as those leafy greens. So 2 things. One is to give us an opportunity to perform some tapasya, some yagya for Radha and Krishna's pleasure, and show our control over the tongue. And secondly is not to commit violence to these living entities that have just manifested. So Chaturmasya Brat Ki Jai and Prabodhananda Saraswati Ki Jai. So now we'll carry on with our chapter 7 of Caitanya Caritamrta. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu unmilitam jena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tiralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Priya Surupe, Daita Surupe, Prema Surupe, Sahajavi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swabalasa Rupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat, Kurunavaratinokulo, Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundarata Tikatam Vasatipita, Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam prabhajantamanapaityam apaitya krityam dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava putreti tam matayo taravo vinedustam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay shiptascha karmadi tarangamadhye kripamai tvam sharanam prapana Brinde namaste charanarvindam Bhajami radham aravinda netram Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam Vadami radham karuna bharadram Tato mamanastikatina kapi Tavaivasmi najivami tvaivina Iti vignaya radhe tvam namayam charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Adi-lila Pravishta Om, Astol Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our dear most beloved Adi-lila Pravishta Om, Astol Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto our beloved Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who has given us this remarkable granta to study and relish, and to all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanshakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So, yesterday we finished the commentary describing the 10 offenses that need to be avoided in the chanting of the holy name. So we didn't particularly unpack these because we've done it many, many times in the past, but I'll just enumerate them one more time because they're so important in our chanting that we must be conscious of these 10 offenses. It's very helpful, just as a tip, to have like a laminated copy that you can have on your desk or close by you when you're chanting. And then you can regularly, or once a month or once every 2 months, regularly review the 10 offenses to make sure that we are avoiding those offenses. So the 10 offenses against the holy name, this is from verse 73 at the bottom of the purport. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows: to blaspheme a devotee of the Lord. This is the first offense. Devotees of the Lord are non-different to the Lord in the sense of their connection and attraction to the Lord. To consider the Lord and the demigods to be on the same level, and to think there are many gods. To neglect the orders of the spiritual master, that was the third. Fourth is to minimize the authority of scripture, shastra. 5, to interpret the holy name of God. 6, to commit sins on the strength of chanting. 7, to instruct the glories of the Lord's name to the unfaithful. 8, to compare the chanting of the holy name with material piety. 9, to be inattentive while chanting the holy name. And 10, to be attached to material things in spite of chanting the holy name. So this last offense is most easily transgressed, that we can still maintain our material attachments even though we're chanting Hare Krishna. It's like you've got the brake on the whole time you're chanting. So now we come to text 74. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Jaya, Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Namavina Kale Kale Nahi Aradam, Sarva Mantra Saranam, Shri A Shastram Marm. Translation. In this age of Kali, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures. So we've been discussing the Vedanta Sutra, and we've been understanding that without the conclusion of chanting the Mahamantra, our study of Vedanta Sutra will be useless. If we study the Vedanta Sutra, this is what we discussed yesterday, separately to appreciating the absolute conclusion, which is to chant the holy names of the Lord, which is to develop our devotion. Chanting these holy names, if we're attentive, Radha Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, like this. So if we're thinking of these personalities, we're appreciating that devotional focus, then we have understood the goal. But if we think it's just the thorny thickets of Gyan and grammatical jugglery, etc., of Sanskrit, which is there in the Vedic sutras, Vedanta Sutra, and which all these Mayavadis that Mahaprabhu is going to speak to have immersed their lives in, this Brahma Gyan, then that's going to become very dry, exactly like Sannyasi Thakur in Jaivadhamma. He explains how there was no juice, there was no taste for him. Sannyasi Thakur explains that. So purport. This is the purport of all scriptures. Purport. The principles of the Parampara system were strictly honored in previous ages, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. But in the present age, Kali Yuga, people neglect the importance of this system of Shrota Parampara, or receiving knowledge by disciplic succession. In this age, people are prepared to argue that they can understand that which is beyond their limited knowledge and perception through so-called scientific observations and experiments, not knowing that actual truth comes down to man from authorities. This is talking about the Aroha Panta, this ascending process. Our process is Avaroha, Ava, like avatar, descending. So our process comes down through the Parampara system. We don't go up through the Parampara system. The system is coming down. So in that way, we are humbly waiting for this mercy to descend within our consciousness through the mercy of Guru and all our Guru Varga. In this, this argumentative attitude is against the Vedic principles, and it is very difficult for one who adopts it to understand that the holy name of Krishna is as good as Krishna himself, because this is what the commentary was saying, this is what the verse was saying. Since Krishna and his holy name are identical, the holy name is eternally pure and beyond material contamination. It is because when we're chanting, our eternal Atma, self, is connecting with that eternal sound vibration. So therefore it's going to elevate the consciousness immediately, straight away. And then we should direct the consciousness though. Once the consciousness becomes elevated, then the consciousness has to be directed. That will depend on our previous study the days before, etc. What ideas and conceptions are going to float into our minds. Because you can't be so tight with the mind and rigid and regimental with it. The mind has to have its spontaneous freedom to actually move. That has to be there. But it has to be guided, like a child has to be guided. So we have to guide our intelligence by the power that manifests from the chanting. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a transcendental vibration. The holy name is completely different from material sound, as confirmed by Narottam Das Thakur, Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtana. The transcendental vibration of Harinam Sankirtan is imported from the spiritual world. It's descending. If we take this, I was talking yesterday about sound vibration. Sound vibration is the first material element in this world. From sound comes ether, from ether comes form, and then air, and then fire, and then ultimately water, earth. So we come through all the different elements and the subtle elements, but the first element is sound vibration. So it's coming directly, ultimately, we described yesterday, from Krishna's flute song. The Kam Bij mantra is manifesting in Lord Brahma's heart from Krishna's flute vibration. The transcendental vibration of Harinam Sankirtan is imported from the spiritual world. Thus, although materialists who are addicted to experimental knowledge and the so-called scientific method cannot place their faith in the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is a fact that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra offenselessly, one can be freed from all subtle and gross material conditions. But when we chant the Mahamantra now, today, in this age of the Yuga Avatar Mahaprabhu, he has empowered this holy name. This holy name is empowered. In every Kali Yuga, the holy name is there. But it's not empowered the same way that it is in this Kali Yuga. Empowered means its full spiritual efficacy and force is there within the Mahamantra. The spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, which means without anxiety. Vai, without. Kunta, anxiety. In the material world, everything is full of anxiety. Kunta. Whereas in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, everything is free from anxiety. Who could argue with this in Kali Yuga? Everywhere is anxiety. People are taking pills all day for anxiety. We see many times on the streets, in some of these little villages, they have like 3 or 4 chemist shops. 1 tea shop, a milk shop, and 3 or 4 chemist shops. People are addicted to trying to relieve their anxieties through a medical, pharmaceutical. But all they have to do is vibrate this holy name. We should tell that lady who came yesterday. So stressful. You know, everyone is stressed with anxieties. They cannot understand the Mahamantra, which is free from all anxiety. You have to speak to that lady. In the present age, the vibration of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only process that is in a transcendental position. It's transcendental because the sound vibration is transcendental, yet beyond material contamination. Since the holy name can deliver a conditioned soul, it is explained here to be Sarva Mantra Sar. Sar means essence, the essence of all Vedic hymns. A name that represents an object of this material world may be subjected to arguments and experimental knowledge. But in the absolute world, a name and its owner, the fame and the famous, are identical, and similarly, the qualities, pastimes, and everything else pertaining to the absolute are also absolute. This we can't conceive of. Everything in this material world is defective. Everything is imperfect here. So we can't appreciate the perfection, the absolute perfection of the spiritual world. There's no imperfection. It's only positively focused on pleasing Krishna. Everything is positively focused in that direction. Although Mayavadis profess monism, they differentiate between the holy name and the Supreme Lord and the Lord Himself. For this offense of Namaparad, they gradually glide down from their exalted position of Brahmagyan, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32. Aruhaya kuchrena param padam tata patyante ado nidrita yusmad angrayaha. Although by severe austerities they rise to the exalted position of Brahmagyan, they nevertheless fall down due to imperfect knowledge of the absolute truth. Although they profess to understand the Vedic mantra, Sarvam Kalo Idam Brahm, Chandogya Upanishad 3.14.1, which means everything is Brahman. They are unable to understand that the holy name is also Brahman. If they regularly chant the Mahamantra, however, they can be relieved from this misconception. Unless one properly takes shelter of the holy name, he cannot be relieved from the offensive stage in chanting the holy name. So unless we come to the conclusion absolutely that the holy name is non-different to Krishna, we will not be able to access the potency of the holy name. Text 79. Etabali eka shloka sikailai more, kante kari e shloka kariha vichare. After describing the potency of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, my spiritual master taught me another verse, advising me to always keep it within my throat. Text 76. Harinameva Harinama Harinameva Kevalam Kalone Asteva Nasteva Gatir Anyata. Translation. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative. There is no alternative. There is no alternative to the holy name. The holy name of the Lord. Purport. For progress in spiritual life. So first of all, Mahaprabhu is teaching these Mayavadi sannyasis the glories of the holy name. That first, and then he will go into describing the Vedanta Sutra, how that supports the conclusion to chant the holy name. For progress in spiritual life, the Shastras recommend meditation, sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu in Treta Yuga, and gorgeous worship of the Lord in the temple in Dwarpa Yuga. So each yuga has its yuga dharma, the principles of how to please the Lord. In such a yuga, everything is very favorable. So there's no anxiety, there's only good qualities. Somaha, they're beyond the material three modes of nature. Shantaha, everyone's very peaceful. Surid, everyone's friendly. Niravadaha, there's no envy. These four qualities are very prominent in such a yuga. So they have that presence of mind where they can perform tapasya. But what is the goal of that tapasya? Yogeshvara, Vaikuntanath, Parameshvara, these Aishwarya forms. And then we come into Treta Yuga. And there's only two qualities in Treta Yuga. Dharmashtadava and Brahmavadinaha, because they're performing yagya, they're performing sacrifices in Treta Yuga. Because now one of the quarters of the limbs of the cow have been broken. Such a yuga, everything is there. Treta Yuga, it started to deteriorate. And in Dwarpa Yuga, there's only one quality, Jignasavaha. Everyone is asking, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And this Yuga Dharma is gorgeous deity worship. So these are the ages. But in Kali Yuga, there's no good qualities. But in the age of Kali Yuga, one can achieve spiritual progress only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is confirmed in various scriptures. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many references to this fact. In the 12th canto, 351, it is said, Kale dosha nidhi rajan astihyeko mahan guna kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. In the age of Kali, there are many faults, for people are subjected to many miserable conditions. Yet in this age, there is one great benediction. Simply by chanting the Mahamantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, one can be freed from all material contamination and thus be elevated to the spiritual world. The Narada Pancharatra also praises the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as follows. Treyo Vaidya Sangangani Chandam Si Vida Shuraha Sarvam Astakaranta Stam Yakchanyad Apivan Mayam Sarva Vedantas Sarata Samsmaranava Taranaha. The essence of all Vedic knowledge, comprehending the three kinds of Vedic activity, Karma Kand, Gyan Kand, and Upasana Kand. Upasana is worship. The Chandas, or Vedic hymns, and the process for satisfying the demigods is included in the 8 syllables Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is the reality of all Vedanta. The chanting of the holy name is the only means to cross the ocean of nescience. Similarly, the Kali Santrana Upanishad states, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 16 names, composed of 32 syllables, are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas, it is seen that to cross the ocean of nescience, there is no alternative to the chanting of the holy name. Similarly, Sri Madhvacharya, while commenting on the Mundaka Upanishad, has quoted the following verse from the Narayan Samhita. Dwarapaye jana Vishnu pancharatrais tu kalavaye kalo tu nama matrena pujyate Bhagavan Hari. In Dwapara Yuga, one could satisfy Krishna or Vishnu only by worshipping him gorgeously, according to the Panchatriki system. But in the age of Kali, one can satisfy and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, simply by chanting the holy name. In his Bhakti Sandarbha text 284, Srila Jiva Goswami strongly emphasizes the chanting of the holy name of the Lord as follows. So I won't read this as a long Sanskrit verse. Srila Jiva Goswami states that the substance of all the Vedic mantras is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Every mantra begins with the prefix Nama Om and eventually addresses by name the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the supreme will of the Lord, there is a specific potency in each and every mantra chanted by great sages like Narada Muni and other rishis. Chanting the holy name of the Lord immediately renovates the transcendental relationship of the living entity, the living being, with the Supreme Lord. Renovates, reinvigorates, renews. This is what the Mahamantra does. If we understand the potency, if we understand this is non-different to the Lord and I am making my connection in service to the Lord by chanting. This is the Yuga Dharma. This, what is it? Krishna Varnam, Twisa Krishnam, Sangopangas Tapasadam, Yagya Sankirtanam Priye, Yajanti Hi Sumerishaha. Intelligent men will take this yagya of the holy name. To chant the holy name of the Lord, one need not depend upon other paraphernalia, for one can immediately get all the desired results of linking with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It may therefore be questioned why there is a necessity for initiation or further spiritual activities in devotional service for one who engages in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The answer is that, although it is correct that one who fully engages in chanting the holy name need not depend on the process of initiation, generally a devotee is addicted to many abominable material habits due to material contamination from his previous life. That can be our previous life in this birth. Our purva sanskars, what was our understanding, what were our activities, what were our habits before we came to this path of devotional service. So all those habits need to be purified. In order to get quick relief from all these contaminations, it has to be quick because we only live for 100 years now. We have very short lives, not even this. Many of my friends leaving their bodies 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old. So we don't have so long. In order to get quick relief from all these contaminations, it is required that one engage in the service of the Lord in the temple. The worship of the deity in the temple is essential to reduce one's restlessness due to the contaminations of conditioned life. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada established this worship of the Lord, the deity worship, to achieve two qualities within the jiva: punctuality and cleanliness. When we worship Thakurji, we have to be not spaced out, we have to be on time. Thakurji will take his meal at a correct time. It's very, very healthy for us to understand about the importance of punctuality. All our acharyas were punctual. And of course, cleanliness. We're cleansing ourselves from the impurities of our enjoying within the material world. This has contaminated our whole consciousness. This has to be purified. Thus, Narad, in his Panchatriki Vidhi, and other great sages have sometimes stressed that since every conditioned soul has a bodily concept of life aimed at sense enjoyment, to restrict this sense enjoyment, the rules and regulations for worshipping the deity in the temple are essential. Also, there are rules for controlling the tongue, which we can take advantage of in the Chatumasya 4 months. And we can follow these restrictions. And it's very, very conducive for our advancement. It cleans us up, so to speak, because we're not just strolling through life, eating whatever we see, etc. We've already restricted ourselves from meat, fish, and eggs, and so many things like this, and wine and drink, the intoxication and so on. But that is like minimal. But then to actually restrict even further is very purifying for the bodily conception of life. And we are in a hurry to get off this bodily conception of life. Srila Rupa Goswami has described that the holy name of the Lord can be chanted by liberated souls, but almost all the souls we have to initiate are conditioned. It is advised that one chant the holy name of the Lord without offenses and according to the regulative principles, yet due to their past bad habits, they violate these rules and regulations. Thus, the regulative principles for worship of the deity are also simultaneously essential. So both these things, to perform deity worship, to follow the 4 regulative principles. Prabhupada is talking to the whole world here. This is his early days of his worldwide mission. And he's not carrying it, we're reading it 50 years later, but still the same principles must apply in the microcosm, so to speak. This is like the macrocosm explanation. But in the individual life of the sadhak, he must be very attentive to these various regulations and rules, whether or not he's on the platform of Ragmarg or not. We are performing Praviti, Vaidhi, Praviti, Ragmarg. We're following the rules and regulations carefully, but our focus is on Raganuga Bhakti. We mustn't become overwhelmed with the desire just to follow this Vidhi path, this Vaidhi path, this Panchatrikisya. It's there. It's like the Vedanta Sutra again. We should actually know all these rules and regulations, and we utilize this to purify ourselves so that we can go on this path confidently of Raganuga, which is what Mahaprabhu is giving. You understand? Clear. Since I received, text 77. E agyan pananama lai anukshana nama laite more branta hoile mana. Translation. Since I received this order from my spiritual master, I always chant the holy name, but I thought that by chanting and chanting the holy name, I had been bewildered. Text 78. Darya darite nari hailama unmata hashikandi nache gaya yache mana mada mata. Translation. While chanting the holy name of the Lord in pure ecstasy, I lose myself, and thus I laugh, cry, dance, and sing just like a madman. Text 79. Tabe darya dari mane karilun vichare Krishna nama jnana chana hoile amara ha'ila amare. Translation. Collecting my patience, therefore, I began to consider that chanting the holy name of Krishna had covered all my spiritual knowledge. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hints in this verse that to chant the holy name of Krishna One does not need to speculate on the philosophical aspects of the science of God, for one automatically becomes ecstatic and without consideration immediately chants, dances, laughs, cries, and sings just like a madman. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar, he's written one beautiful book called A Golden Staircase. And in there he's saying, now I'm chanting this Mahamantra, it seems that all my serious study and moods of scholarship have just evaporated. And I'm just in an intoxicated state of mind, relishing the sound vibration of the holy name. So it's the same principle. The rules and regulations need to be built in to become habitual. And then when we reach the highest stages, the rules and regulations are there because that's the most conducive place for our soul to remain. That's the atmosphere my soul appreciates, are the proper, correct, the civilized way of living. My soul is comfortable in that environment. It's not comfortable in a materialistic environment. If we go and live in the big cities, we must studiously give our association to offset any influence from that pollution to come into us, isn't it? We must be giving out in the big city, distributing books, performing Harinam Sankirtan, wearing our devotional dress, everyone seeing the tilak and so on, and resolutely standing outside of that contaminating atmosphere, because if we don't, we'll be washed over by it. Text 80. Pagala hal ilan ami darya nahi mane eta chinta nivedilum goria gora charane. Translation: I saw that I had become mad by chanting the holy name, and I immediately submitted this at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an ideal teacher, shows us how a disciple should deal with his spiritual master. Whenever there is doubt regarding any point, he should refer the matter to his spiritual master for clarification. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that while chanting and dancing, he had developed the kind of mad ecstasy that is possible only for a liberated soul. Yet even in his liberated position, he referred everything to his spiritual master whenever there were doubts. Thus, in any condition, even when liberated, one should never think ourselves independent of the spiritual master, but must refer to him as soon as there is some doubt regarding our progressive spiritual life. So Guru will always encourage this confidence, this intimacy, Vishrambena Seva, this intimacy of sharing our various doubts and uncertainties perhaps. But there is also Shiksha Guru as well as Diksha Guru. Very often we have a more intimate relationship with our Shiksha Guru. Sometimes with the Diksha Guru it's quite reverential. But with the Shiksha Guru, someone we have a friendship with and we have great respect for in knowing the path, like your friend Naveen Gopi, for example. She's very knowledgeable, etc. And with her you can share so many things, so many intimate things. But with Guru there's some restraint, often. Sometimes Shiksha and Diksha Guru can be the same. My Gurudev had a mood of Shiksha with his Gurudev. He had both, Diksha and Shiksha, in the one master. So we can have both, but we can also have a number of Shiksha Gurus to share our various progressive understandings and realizations to make sure that we're actually on track. Text 81. Kiba mantra dila goshani kiba tara bala japite mantra karila pagala. My dear Lord, what kind of mantra have you given me? I have become mad simply by chanting this Mahamantra. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays in his Shikshastika, Yugayitam lamishena chakshusham pravisayitam sunyayitam jagat sarvam Govinda virame. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. It is the aspiration of a devotee that while he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, his eyes will fill with tears, his voice falter, and his heart throb. These are good signs in chanting the holy name of the Lord. In ecstasy, one should feel the entire world to be vacant without the presence of Govinda. This is a sign of separation from Govinda. It's saying in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if one's heart is not melting with these kind of symptoms, it's indicative that my heart is as hard as a thunderbolt. So we should always be examining, what are my offenses to the holy name itself? What are my offenses to the holy Dham? What are my offenses to Shastra? All of these must be considered carefully. Otherwise, it'll all be an obstruction. In material life, we are all separated from Govinda and are absorbed in material sense gratification. Because we can't find happiness in our relationship with Krishna, then we have to look for happiness in the material world. Therefore, when one comes to his senses on the spiritual platform, he becomes so eager to meet Govinda that without Govinda, the entire world becomes a vacant place. How beautiful. We should rush in the morning to have darshan of Thakurji, understanding this is that Supreme Lord. Actually, if we read this, I've been mentioning it many times, this Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Gop Kumar, he's so anxious to see his Lord, that's what's propelling him into all the different planetary systems, to move up, from Jagannath Puri to Indradev, and then to Lord Brahma, and so on, all the way up through the four Kumaras. But he's not very happy in Tapaloka, because they're telling him he should just see the Lord inside. And he's not satisfied with that. He wants to have the relationship. So this Brihat Bhagavatamrita chalks out this very beautifully. Text 82. Hasaya nichaya more kariya krandana eta suni guru hasi balila vachana. Translation: chanting the holy name in ecstasy causes me to dance, laugh, and cry. When my spiritual master, did I read this? No. When my spiritual master heard all this, he smiled and then began to speak. Purport: when a disciple very perfectly makes progress in spiritual life, this gladdens the spiritual master, who then also smiles in ecstasy, thinking how successful my disciple has become. He feels so glad that he smiles as he enjoys the progress of the disciple, just as a smiling parent enjoys the activities of a child who is trying to stand up or crawl perfectly. Text 83. Krishna nama mahamantrera eta svabhava ye jape tare Krishna upajaya bhava. Translation: it is the nature of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that anyone who chants it immediately develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. So this is the Ishwarapuri in this case, is responding back to Mahaprabhu's inquiry. Purport: in this verse is explained that one who chants the Hare Krishna mantra develops bhav, ecstasy, which is the point at which revelation begins. It is the preliminary stage in developing one's original love for God. Lord Krishna mentions this bhav stage in the Bhagavad Gita 10:8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matahar sarvam pravartante iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhav samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. A neophyte disciple begins by hearing and chanting, associating with devotees, and practicing the regulative principles, and thus he vanquishes all his unwanted bad habits. In this way, he develops attachment for Krishna and cannot forget Krishna even for a moment. Smartavya shatatam Vishnu, Vishmartavya na katuchit. Bhav is the almost successful stage of spiritual life. Shuddha Shatra Visheshatma Prem Suryavam Samyabhak. This is describing the nature of bhav, this verse Rupa Goswami has given. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prem Suryavam Samyabak Ruchibis Tita Mishnu Shud Ashud Bhav Uchyate. This is the highest condition of bhav. A sincere student orally receives the holy name from the spiritual master. It must be an oral reception. Prabhupada is saying here, orally receives. He doesn't say after that spiritual master has departed that you can again become initiated, or someone can become initiated by that spiritual master, like the Ritvik idea. Understand? Orally, he's saying you have to, because it's a transmission. The spiritual master is transmitting something into the core of the Shishya's heart. The sound vibration is going into the heart. It's manifesting there. And there has to be reciprocation from the heart of the Shishya back to the Guru. That creates the Sambandha. And it's in that relationship that the Krishna Seva Vasana, the Bij, the Bhakti Lata Bij is planted. It's planted in that oral exchange. It has to be directly orally exchanged. When the holy name is properly served in this way, automatically the spiritual master of the spiritual nature of the holy name spreads. In other words, the devotee becomes qualified in offenselessly chanting the holy name. When one is completely fit to chant the holy name in this way, he is eligible to make disciples all over the world, and he actually becomes Jagat Guru. Then the entire world, under his influence, begins to chant the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is what Guru wants. What is a leader? A Guru is a leader, and a leader is someone who makes other leaders. This is what a real leader is. A false leader is someone who's just enjoying their own leadership, so to speak. But a real leadership, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, would never be saying he's making disciples. He would be saying, I'm making gurus. He's making gurus. He's empowering those individuals to become guru. So this is always the desire of guru, is to make gurus. And then that shishya, he also makes gurus, etc. A leader is someone who makes others lead. When the holy name, yes. Thus, all the disciples of such a spiritual master increase in attachment for Krishna, and therefore he sometimes cries, sometimes laughs, sometimes dances, and sometimes chants. These symptoms are very prominently manifest in the body of a pure devotee. Sometimes when our students of the Krishna consciousness movement chant and dance, even in India, people are astonished to see how these foreigners have learned to chant and dance in this ecstatic fashion. As explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, actually this is not due to practice, for without extra endeavor, these symptoms become manifest in anyone who sincerely chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is infused. We've just said, Golokya Premadana, Harinam Sankirtan. It's coming from the spiritual world. It's infusing the transcendental nature of the soul itself. It's waking up its transcendental reality. Many fools, not knowing the transcendental nature of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, sometimes impede our loudly chanting this mantra. Yet one who is actually advanced in the fulfillment of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra induces others to chant also. This is what I'm just saying. Guru will inspire his disciples disciples will inspire others. This is the principle. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains, Krishna Shakti Vine Nahi Tare Pravatana. Unless one receives special power of attorney from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he cannot preach the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. As devotees propagate the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the general population of the entire world gets the opportunity to understand the glories of the holy name. While chanting and dancing or hearing the holy name of the Lord, one automatically remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead And because there is no difference between the holy name and Krishna, the chanter is immediately linked with Krishna. Therefore, his chanting is absolutely pure. It's on the Shuddha Sattva platform. Thus connected, a devotee develops his original attitude of service to the Lord, his original attitude. What's that? Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhavsa sadhanavida nitya siddhyasya. Nitya siddhyasya, our eternal nature. Nitya siddhyasya bhavasya. Prakritamrta sadhyata is in potential within the heart. This Mahamantra is like watering it and it will wake it up. Thus connected, a devotee develops his original attitude of service to the Lord. In this attitude of constantly serving Krishna, which is called Bhav, he always thinks of Krishna in many different ways. Also in Bhagavad Gita says, Tesham satatam yuktanam prajatam piti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. One who constantly thinks of me, who is thinking of me constantly, what's that rest of that verse? I give the understanding by which he can come to me. Yes, very good. Beautiful verse, one of the seed Chatushlokis of Bhagavad Gita. One who has attained this Bhav stage is no longer under the clutches of the illusory energy. When other spiritual ingredients such as trembling, perspiring, and tears are added to this Bhav stage, the devotee gradually attains love of Krishna. What does love of Krishna mean? It means I'm loving that spiritual reality and those personalities, the parikas of Krishna, particularly that Swarup Shakti, Sri Radha. Particularly because Radha has the most prem. We discussed this the other day. Her greatness is the prem that she has for Krishna. And this is greater than the prem that Krishna has for Radha. So we are not seeking Krishna prem. We are seeking Radha prem. Actually, we're seeking the Gopi prem. The holy name of Krishna is called the Mahamantra. Other mantras mentioned in the Narada Pancharatra are known simply as mantras, but the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is called the Mahamantra. Prabhupada is extensively describing this. It's as if we're here with Mahaprabhu in Varanasi. And we're sitting with Mahaprabhu. He's about to speak to all of these Mayavadi sannyasis. He is already speaking to these Mayavadi sannyasis, telling them how glorious is this holy name. This is what Mahaprabhu is doing. So we should resonate with this mood of Krishna's Kaviraj here. Text 84. Krishna Vishayaka Prema Parama Purushartha Yara Age Trina Tulya Kari Purusartha Chari Ut Purusartha. Translation. Religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation are known as the four goals of life, the Purusarthas. But before love of Godhead, the fifth and highest goal, these appear as insignificant as straw in the street. So the fifth Purusartha, which is Prem Artha, this Prem, and this is not what Vyasadeva was mentioning previously. Vyasadeva got his vision in trance, that Bhasya, gifted by Narad, to understand that Prem is the conclusion. Because before Vyasadeva, this Prem was not discussed. It was never even there. It wasn't on the map. There was only Aishwarya. There's only Dharma, Artha, Kama. That's all there was. Understand the history. See it clearly. Each Manvantara is what? 309 million years. So we're in the 7th Manvantara. So it's only in this 7th Manvantara. So 7 times 3, that means 21 million years previously. There was no Rag Marg being practiced because Mahaprabhu had not manifested. So how special is it? And he's given us the injection, he's given us the fuel, which is the Mahamantra itself. He's empowered the Mahamantra. Purport. While chanting the holy name of the Lord, one should not desire the material advancements represented by religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately liberation. We come to this path generally, practically all of us, because we want to be liberated from our suffering. This is why we come. Isn't it? All come for this reason. because they think now I can become happy and liberated from the material suffering. But if one follows carefully, then he realizes this liberation is simply a material desire. To become liberated from material contamination is a material desire. It's not a spiritual desire or focus. So by our association with devotees, hearing the Shastra, then that desire for liberation will be purified into a mood of quickly attaining the transcendence, crossing over this Viraja river, connecting this sambandha with the Lord in devotional service. And even sitting in this world, if we're performing pure devotional service, we will be of the quality of that spiritual world. We will be in that spiritual world directly. As stated by Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the highest perfection of life is to develop one's love for Krishna. Prem Purnata Mahan Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Idam. This is from the verse Shri Radhaya Pranaya. No, Aradayo Bhagavan Vrijesha Tanayas Taddama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Braja Bardu Vargena Vakapte Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana. And then this is the last line of that verse. When we compare love of Godhead with religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, we can understand that these achievements may be desirable objectives for bubukshas, or those who desire to enjoy this material world. We all desire to enjoy the material world before we've tasted the pleasure of the spiritual devotion. Before we taste that spiritual devotion, we only want the pleasure of this world. As we see all the populace around us are only concerned with the happiness in this world. And it's more subtle in Bharatvash, the joy of family relationships. This is principally the focus in life in India, in Bharatvash. But still it's material, because all the families are going to disintegrate. All the families are only temporary. Or those who desire to enjoy this material world, and mumukshas, or those who desire liberation from it, but they are very insignificant in the eyes of a pure devotee who has developed bhav, the preliminary stage of love of Godhead. We can't understand these words unless we've had some divine realization ourselves, unless we've had some revelation of that higher state, unless we've experienced some higher taste, that param drisvar nivartante, unless that higher taste has come, these words will just be empty words and we'll have no faith. So one must quickly, diligently take every opportunity to develop his spiritual focus, and here reside in the Dham, chant as much as is conceivably possible, and develop this path to a degree where I'm getting some taste. Because if I'm not getting any taste, then I must look for the material taste. Dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, karma, sense gratification, and moksha, liberation, are the four principles of religion that pertain to the material world. Therefore, in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is declared, Dharma projita kaitavatra, parama nirmatsaranam shatam. Cheating religious systems in terms of these four material principles are completely discarded from the Srimad Bhagavatam. For Srimad Bhagavatam teaches only how to develop one's dormant love of God. The Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore it ends with the words Sarva Dhamam Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. 1866. To adopt this means one should reject all ideas of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, and fully engage in the service of the Lord. That's just what I was saying. We must have that utsaha, that greed. And that greed will come from our chanting. When we put our faith in this process, knowing that this Mahamantra is going to give absolutely everything. There's nothing that the Mahamantra does not contain. It contains absolutely everything in existence. And that chanting of the Mahamantra will give us this enthusiasm to move forward. And when we're enthusiastically chanting, we're going to feel enlivened practically at every moment almost. At least many, many times in the day, that inspirational mood will rise in the heart naturally. And the longer we associate with the chanting of the holy name, the more we can apply ourselves to the philosophy, and the more we can focus on what is the nature of my devotion. And we always feel my devotion is short. We never feel I've even performed any devotional service. No devotee will feel he's performed devotional service, because that greed won't be there if we're feeling we're doing so much activities and service. It'll be restricted. Love of Godhead is the original function of the spirit soul, and it is as eternal as the soul. How beautiful. Love of Godhead is the eternal function of the spirit soul. It's the function of the soul, this bhav, this nature of love for Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This eternity is called Sanatan. When a devotee revives his loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it should be understood that he has been successful in achieving the desired goal of life. At that time, everything is automatically done by the mercy of the holy name, and the devotee automatically advances in his spiritual progress. Very beautiful, the end of this purport. Text 85. Panchamay Pursartha Premanandamrita Sindhu Mokshadi Anandayari Nahi Eka Bindu. Translation. For a devotee who has actually developed bhav, the pleasure derived from dharma, artha, karma, and moksha appears like a drop in the presence of the sea. Text 86. Krishna namare phala prema sarva shastra koi bhagya se prema tomya karila udaye. Translation. The conclusion of all revealed scriptures is that one should awaken his dormant love of Godhead. You are greatly fortunate to have done so. So the spiritual master is speaking to Mahaprabhu. He's saying this, Ishwara Puri is saying this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he has woken up his dormant love of God. He's saying that. Text 87. Premara swabhave kari chitatanu shobha Krishna charana praptya upajaya lova. It is a characteristic of love of Godhead that by nature it induces transcendental symptoms in one's body and makes one more and more greedy to achieve the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Premara swabhave bhakti hase kande gaya unmata hoye nache iti uti daya. Translation. When one actually develops love of Godhead, he naturally sometimes cries, sometimes laughs, sometimes chants, and sometimes runs here and there, just like a madman. So Mahaprabhu is indoctrinating these sannyasis. Many, many verses now, he's talked about the power of the holy name. He's giving them the power of the holy name. Think, listen here, because he's already impressed them with his enormous effulgence. They already consider himself, oh, he must be like God, because that is their original goal. They want to become like God. They call each other Dridra Narayan, poor Narayan. That's how they address themselves. You're poor until you manifest your Narayan feature. And they're considering, oh, this person must have already manifested his Narayan feature. But then they're thinking everyone has that nature, but they don't understand. And Mahaprabhu is giving so many instructions about the glories of the holy name to inspire them before he starts to talk about the Vedanta Sutra. So that will come in a few more verses. We will come into this part when the Mayavadi philosophies start. They say, my dear sirs, if you don't mind, I can say something to you regarding, oh, this is Mahaprabhu. He starts to speak about the Vedanta, about 10, 12 verses on. So we'll come to this on Monday, next week, and Tuesday, and discuss the second part of his remarkable victory over all these This is not just regular people. The regular people were dancing and chanting, automatically seeing the beauty of Krishna, of Mahaprabhu. But these are hardcore Brahma Jnani Mayavadis. So his accomplishment, his achievement here is heroic. It's absolutely tremendous, and his approach is sublime. Just teaching the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevala. Kolona steva steva tia anyutam. So Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Pramodhananda Saraswati Goswami ki jai. Sri Chaturmasya ki jai. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Go Premanandi Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhu Vivacha. Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.